Jeremy Hunt has described the failure of the breast screening program to invite some older women for a mammogram in apocalyptic terms, warning of a possible 270 deaths and causing huge alarm among women and their families. He is blaming the body that has oversight of the NHS screening program, now Public Health England, for what is described as a disastrous computer error that meant 450,000 women did not get vital letters calling them in. But the numbers do not stack up, say some experts with inside knowledge. Both the mortality figures and the number of those affected are now in dispute, and the health secretary's rhetoric is beginning to look overheated in the light of an issue officials have been wrangling over and trying to understand since January. There isn't a scandal, those experts say. There is confusion. Hunt said the issue goes back to 2009 but was detected in January, thanks to a new IT system introduced by Public Health England that picked up that some women over 68 had not been sent a letter inviting them for a last mammogram before their 71st birthday. It would not have been noticed if it had not been for a trial, called AJAX, that was enrolling women to see whether screening should actually be extended from the current 50 to 70 years bracket to include women who were both younger and older than that. AJAX, based at Oxford University, is the first trial of breast screening in the UK. The evidence that exists for breast screening's effectiveness in picking up cancers and reducing deaths comes from Scandinavia. Nobody in the world has run trials in women in either their late 60s or 70s until now. Women of 71 to 73 enrolled on AJAX are randomly assigned either to being screened or to not being screened. The new IT system spotted that women in the control arm, no screening, had been flagged in the NHS screening system not to receive any more routine mammograms. Some of them had their last one before they turned 68. According to Sir Richard Peto, Professor of Medical Statistics at Oxford University and the statistician on AJAX, there were 80,000 women recruited in the pilot phase between 2009 and 2015, and 80,000 more in the year 2016 to 2017. That means 80,000 women at most in the trial, the 50% randomly assigned to no more screening, could have lost out on a last invitation to have a mammogram. Some of those would have been 68 at their last screening, but some would have been 69 or 70. The numbers got bigger when Public Health England looked back to 2009 using the new computer system, which was able to see the detailed screening history of individual women for the first time. It found there were thousands of women who had not been invited after they turned 68. Peto says that was just the way the screening program had been set up to work. The invitations for screening were sent out every 3 years from every general practice. The final invitation, up to the age of 70 when routine screening stopped, would go to all the women who had turned 68 to 70 in that year who had been invited 3 years previously. That therefore includes some who are 67. But even if you include all of those women invited to a last mammogram before they were 68 who were not missed by computer error but by the normal workings of the screening program, the numbers do not reach 450,000, says Peto. 2 million women are called for screening in England each year. About 1/6 of those called for final screening are 67 and turning 68 that year. My guess is that about 300,000 is the real number, he said. Interestingly, that is about the number 309,000 that Hunt said were still alive out of the 450,000 he said were affected and who would be contacted with an offer of another mammogram. Public Health England is unable to give details of how it got to what it says is 450,000 missed invites. It is based on modeling data, said a spokesperson. It is an estimation. That's all we know at the present. Requests to speak to anybody who might have more knowledge were turned away. The possible 270 deaths, or as Hunt said, shortened lives, is also in dispute. To be talking about deaths in this way was quite surprising, said Sarah Hiom of Cancer Research UK. It was quite surprising that a health minister would be making such a statement quite that strongly. The women will have missed an extra opportunity to have a breast cancer detected by X-ray before they could be aware of it, but it may still have been picked up even at an early stage because it manifests as a lump in the breast. Breast cancer does tend to have quite clear symptoms and there are excellent treatments even for late-stage breast cancers, she said. David Spiegelhalter, statistician and chair of the Winton Centre for Risk and Evidence Communication at Cambridge University, took issue with Hunt's statement that there could be 135 and 270 women who had their lives shortened. He gave several reasons why this claim is misleading. There is only weak evidence that screening helps prolong life, particularly for older women, he said in a blog. And, contrary to popular belief, screening also does harm. For every 200 women attending screening between 50 and 70, we would expect 1 to have her early death from breast cancer prevented, but 3 to be unnecessarily treated for a harmless cancer that would not have troubled them. That treatment involves biopsies, and possibly surgery and drugs and a great deal of trauma for the women. The growing knowledge of the downsides as well as the upsides of screening may be why only 2/3 of those invited for it actually go. Anybody over 70 can request regular screening. The questions are especially relevant to those in that age group. Screening may detect cancer, but it may also pick up suspect cells in the breast that are either benign growths or are so slow growing that they will not cause harm in the woman's lifetime. That was the point of setting up AJEX, to find out whether it was better to screen or not to screen. That question was never asked before screening was rolled out beyond the original cutoff of 64. There isn't a scandal, said Pito. At what age should screening stop? We don't know.